Email in your marketing plan. Have you rolled your eyes yet? Have you groaned yet? It's okay. You can do it. That's where everybody starts. But when done well, email has its place. But what does well look like? Well, my guest today helps practices use email effectively and lots of other businesses effectively. She's figured it out, and she's going to share some tips with us. I'm Carl White, principal at Mark Advisory Group, which is a healthcare marketing agency, and I'm also the host of PracticeCare. The mission for both is the same, and that's to help private practice owners stay private. Not only is that usually what they want, but care is better when the provider owns the practice because that's when they're going to have the most freedom to make the clinical decisions they think are best for their patients. It's just not quite the same when somebody else owns the practice. Eventually, their agenda starts to creep in, and then it's just more for the provider to think about. Let's just keep it simple and keep it private. My guest today is Prerna Malik. Prerna is co-founder of Content Bistro, the creator of the strategy first copywriting program Ready to Sell, and is a Copy Hackers certified conversion copywriter. She uses her proprietary conversion brew process for writing conversion-rich, coercion-free emails that balance persuasion and personality while blending sales strategies seasoned with integrity. She's written for over 500 clients, including marketing icons such as Pat Flynn, Amy Porterfield, Joanna Wiebe, and countless others. Those are big names, I can tell you. If you need her after work hours, you can find her introverting with her nose in a book, baking up a storm in the kitchen, or traveling the world with her husband and business partner, Mayank, and their daughter, Manini. Prerna, thank you for coming on PracticeCare, a fellow introvert. Wow.
Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
inviting me, Carl. I'm just so excited. Yes, chronic introvert here for sure.
Yeah. Can two introverts talk to each other and do an episode? We're about to find out, folks. New ground.
Yep,
Anyway,
yep,
I think it can happen. Um,
it can
so
happen.
let's, yeah. So thank you so you are in India. It is way later
Mhm.
in the day. It's a Friday evening there when most of us are lying on the couch. So double thank you for coming on and talking about this topic. This is the kind of thing where you got to make your peace with email because it's not going away. It's still very effective. It could be really ineffective, like any other tool out there, but it's a tool, and when used well and appropriately, it can really make a big difference. So we're going to get into that. But first, regular listeners know where I'm going to start. That bio was short, but that's what I asked for. So tell us more about you.
Well, thank you once again for inviting me.
Mhm.
I am like you all have heard, the co-founder of Content Bistro. My husband and I, we have been running this since 2011. So I've been
All
in this
right.
business for a very long time, and I've seen it all, done it all, tested
Hmm.
everything that's out there. We live in India and we work with entrepreneurs across the world
Hmm.
on their email marketing, on their sales strategies. And yeah, it's just something that I am extremely excited about. I
Hmm.
love writing, I love words, and I love it when words have impact.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm looking forward to talking about with you today.
Yeah. And I love what you just said when words have impact, because what flashed in my head was they always do. And then the question becomes, are they having the impact you would like them to have? Because it's going to land
Exactly.
somehow. You're either going to turn somebody off or
Yes.
say, appropriately and ethically, capture their attention. And in healthcare, it's
Oh,
the
wow.
word sales is kind of mixed. Some people embrace it, some don't. Maybe it's more
Yeah.
education. It's, authentically getting somebody to consider you. And if you can do that, if you're good at what you do, usually good things happen, but it doesn't happen on its own. Um, all right, email in your marketing plan. Let's jump into it and let's just slay the elephant in the room. Everybody groans when they hear the term email marketing. I don't even like the term email marketing. There's no such thing. Email is part of a marketing plan. I hate it, but that's what everybody
Yes.
says. So if there's a secondary goal here, it's please stop using the term email marketing. It doesn't exist. Email is a tool. But why do so many people just roll their eyes at it and go, oh, no way, no way, just like a reflex?
For for a lot of reasons, but I feel like in terms, if I have to just pick the top two, it would
Yeah.
be one, we tend to overcomplicate it, and the second one is something that you touched upon, just a little while ago, is that emails that are sent out without the right intention, emails that
Hmm.
are sent out, just for the sake of sending them out. Like people just get, just sometimes you just get being bombarded with
Yeah. I
emails
have to
and
talk to them.
you
No,
don't,
no, you don't. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Just being more intentional and also simplifying it, which is the goal here today. That's what we're going to talk about. But I feel that's one of the reasons why people go, because chances are they may have either been on the receiving end of emails that just did not have any context, no nuance, no intention, or they may have tried sending emails out and only to feel like, oh, this is just way too overwhelming for me. This is too complex, too complicated. So as a result, they go, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be sending emails out anytime soon.
Yeah.
But the truth is, emails, when done right, are not only exceptionally effective, but they're also a great way for you to build a strong relationship with someone who's come to see you, someone, who's been part of your practice. It's a fabulous way for you to see a return on the investment that you're putting in terms of time and effort, and of course money, because you'll be using an email tool as well. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
But the fact is, emails are still exceptionally effective because pretty much everyone has an email. Pretty much everyone checks their email at least once a day. And the millennials and the Gen Zs and all, they check it multiple times a day. And if you're entrepreneurs like you and I, we are hooked to our emails a lot. So, but it's not all emails. Like, not all emails are created equal. So I think that's the reason most people tend to go emails, because, well, when they're not done right, they can be a huge pain.
Yeah, and it's easy to do it wrong in a variety of different ways. So, what makes email effective as part of a marketing plan for a private practice in healthcare? What have you seen? What do you like?
Oh, so many things. So first, you want your emails to start on the right note. And when I say start on the right note, you want to collect email addresses in a way that that's in integrity. So you don't want to just add people without permission to an email list and start sending emails out from your Gmail, for example, or even your, like your business emails. No, you want to send emails out using an email software that would ensure that when they sign up, they're giving consent that you can email them regularly, and B, it also takes care of things like simplifying sending the email process, also making sure the emails are mobile optimized. So I would say starting off on the right note is super important. That would make so many things so much easier for you.
Yeah.
The second is you want to find the right balance of emails. So sending too many emails, sending too few emails. So send too many emails, people are going to get really annoyed, very upset with you. You send too few emails, people are going to forget who you were, and with chances that would just unsubscribe. So you want to find the right balance of emails to send. Based on experience, I would say sending like anywhere between 2 emails a month, 2 to 3 emails a month is a sweet spot. 2 emails a month is great because you're sending email every other week. It's just enough for them to stay in touch with you, and it's not so much that they feel annoyed. Like, our patients would feel annoyed, but also it's not so little that folks forget that, okay,
right,
who are you and why are you emailing me?
Yeah.
And should you be running any promotions, or you've got any kind of, like, it's a season where people would be looking to kind of consult with you. You may want to send a few extra emails here and there, but I feel 2 emails kind of fits the spot there perfectly. And so just kind of finding that right balance of emails. And I think the third thing that's super important is like ensuring that your emails have the perfect mix of, for ease of our listeners to remember, is I call it the PVA format. So you want to have personalization, you want to have value, and then you want to have action. What action would you like them to take? Would it be to visit you, call you, book a virtual consult? So you want to keep those emails personalized, which means they need to be relevant to the audience you're sending. You want, besides the usual personalization, which is, okay, let's add the first name, which again, using the right email software would make it easier for you to do. But you also want to give value. And then, of course, you want to encourage them to take some kind of an action, because that is when you start to see the effectiveness of those emails. So if I were to kind of distill everything down into these three, I would say start on the right note.
Mm-hmm.
You know, find the right balance of sending emails.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, 2 emails a month would be perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
then use a format that makes it super easy for your audience to enjoy getting your emails, even though
Yeah.
you're a business, a practice, whether you're a medical practice or a dental practice, that doesn't matter. But point is, like, people would look forward to your emails because of because of this kind of a format. You giving great value, you're sending them relevant information, it has context, they know
Mm-hmm.
why they're hearing from you, and then you're encouraging them to take action, which makes it a real win-win for both you and the recipient.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good nuggets in there. I want to see if I can tease some of them out and ask some couple of follow-up questions. First is, do you see a distinction in what you said between emails to those who are not yet your patients versus those who are? Let me start there. Do you see any? Because in either case, your second one is essentially have something relevant to say, right? Which is there's a judgment
It's
call in there and there's a little bit of trial and error. I like the two max personally. With our clients, we tend to do one unless there's like something urgent to say. We do a newsletter, fine,
yeah.
it's email. But do you see a distinction between what you said in terms of going after those who are not yet your patients versus those who already are?
um, there would be a distinction in terms of the personalization part of it, because
Mhm.
someone who's not your patient, would need different kind of emails as against someone who is your patient.
Mhm.
So I think the best way to kind of understand this is, let's just look at the kind of emails, the three kinds of emails. Again, for simplicity's sake, there are
Sure.
more, and you know this as well.
But
But
we're
for
getting
the sake of
started here.
simplicity,
Yeah.
yeah, let's look at the three kinds of emails that your practice should send out. So the first one would be patient education.
Hmm.
Um, the second would be patient engagement,
Hmm.
and the third would be practice promotion.
Okay.
Right? So we have these three kinds of emails that you can send out to people who sign up to your email list.
Hmm.
Now, patient education and practice promotion are the kind of emails that you would send out to both your non-patients as well as your patients, like people
Hmm.
who haven't consulted you and people who have, because you would want to kind of educate and send out value, like you said, you like newsletters with say maybe tips, or hey, this is the season for say the flu, here's what you need to
Right.
do to
Flu shots
stay
coming
safe.
soon.
And
Right. Yeah.
exactly, so
Hmm.
you would want to send that out to anyone who's signed up on your email list, or whether they have or haven't consulted with you. So these two.
Hmm.
And then the third kind that you have would be the patient engagement emails.
Okay.
Now, these would be emails that you'll only send out to people who are your patients.
Hmm.
So in this case, you're talking about someone who consults you for the first time. They get a welcome email. They book their first appointment with you. You send them out a really nice welcome email, letting them know things that sometimes we tend to overlook. Okay, where do you park when you come to the clinic, for example?
Hmm.
Or what time should you show up, and all of those kind of things.
Please make sure the
Also,
forms are filled out. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
just things that sometimes people tend to overlook,
Hmm.
which could save them and you time.
Hmm.
Next would be appointment reminders. So I know a lot of practices do use text based reminders, which is great,
Hmm.
but you could always use emails as well.
Hmm.
So you kind of sending them those reminders so that they it stays top of mind. You remind them to put it into their calendar, they don't
Hmm.
forget, there are no missed appointments, all of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Preventive care reminders, because you have
Hmm.
their history. And again, this is somewhere you may want to be, also want to keep in mind. I know HIPAA compliance, you
Yeah, it
don't want to
gets.
send out any.
I like
Yeah,
what you're saying. Let's keep
yeah,
going, but
yeah,
the
yeah,
getting it done practically with HIPAA becomes a. But anyway, yeah, keep going.
yeah, exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So you want to keep that in mind too. And then of course you could also send out satisfaction surveys,
Hmm.
anonymous satisfaction surveys for the clinic as a whole. So just kind of getting to know, or review requests,
Hmm.
asking them to review the clinic or the consult. So those would only go out to
Current patients.
patients,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah, that's engagement, that's patient engagement. It serves a purpose. But again, like I said, you want to kind of keep
Yeah.
compliance in mind as well.
Okay. And one thing, this is a highly loaded question. There's really only one answer, but talk about consistency with emails. It's not really, is consistency important? Let me actually phrase it as a question because that's what I said was coming. Is consistency important? Um, like for example, we've got one a dermatology practice we go to when needed. I think twice a year I see an email and it's like the summer or the fall sale. I'm like, isn't there a spring sale? Like, you see them every once in a while. It's like, just get off the ground and just be consistent with it because memorability matters, right? I mean, what I say to clients is, look, out of sight,
100%.
out of mind is a very, very powerful force. And as long as you're
Absolutely.
checking the boxes that you're talking about, making sort of, emails that you want to at least open. Um, this is a good
Exactly.
way to fight back on that force, but only if you do it consistently, right? I mean,
Consist
yeah, I see a lot of,
Absolutely.
you see like the starting gate and then where'd you go? So yeah.
Exactly. So, which is why if you could simplify the process, it will make it easier.
Yeah.
Consistency is key here, which also kind of, goes back to what we talked about the frequency of emails. So if you send
Mhm.
too few emails, like you said, like you get emails twice a year, wondering, okay, first up, why? And secondly, why why was I not hearing
Mhm.
from you during the other months, that kind of
Mhm.
a thing. So you want to kind of just avoid that. The second is, of course, creates, it builds trust.
Mhm.
It builds,
At
it
least
builds a rapport.
familiarity. Like, oh yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
You don't want
Recognition,
somebody to say, "Who are you?" when you've been there,
Ex-
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And it also kind of I feel it when you send emails out consistently and if you follow a format that kind of makes it easier for you to send it, people tend to look forward to your emails, and the more they look forward to your emails, you'll have people who say, okay, this was really helpful. I forwarded to a friend of mine, and
Mhm.
that's how you create word of mouth as well.
Mhm.
So you stay top of mind, you're creating word of mouth, you're
Mhm.
building trust, you're building familiarity. People and people go to people consult people who they know, like, and trust, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that email kind of solves all the problems there for you.
Yeah. And you know what? Most practices, if nothing else, you've got some educational info you could send out. I mean, if you're struggling with what will we
Absolutely.
send out, what will we talk about, send a health tip. Have a I don't know, a
Hmm.
bi-monthly health tip. And you know the types of patients you have. You could probably pick some topics that touch enough of them. Look, if you've got a large enough patient base and somebody gets an email, you can always find somebody who says, stop sending me emails. That's easy. But you know what? The people who are happy with it are never going to tell you and just, you know what? You're sending out. And what would you talk about? I don't know. Look at last week. If two patients ask you the same or similar question, bet you more have the question. Try that. Just,
Exactly.
and then
Exactly.
watch and every tool will tell you how many people opened it. Did they click on a link if it was there? And that's your signal. Did they like it? Yeah, they probably liked it. Good
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Keep going.
It's so easy for I feel like for most practitioners to have great value to give.
Hmm.
Not only, like the questions that people are asking, but something that you said, like health tips. I mean, if you think about it, if you're sending 2 emails a month, you essentially need 24 relevant tips for your audience. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of you listening, you
Yeah.
would be able to come up with at least 15 or 18 of those at
Hmm.
a moment's notice. 24
Yeah.
is not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And to the point, like let's say you're sending an email, someone doesn't like it. The thing is, the beauty here is there's nothing manual, which is why we don't want to complicate it. Like when you use a tool, an email software tool to send out your emails,
Hmm.
it would include an unsubscribe link there. Anyone who does
Yes.
not like the email or does not want to get emails or has moved, neighborhoods or whatever, can
Hmm.
simply click unsubscribe, and the
Hmm.
tool does everything for you. So you don't have to think that, oh, someone's going to email me back saying, remove me from your list. And then how would I do that? Yeah, you just
Yeah.
automate the whole thing.
Right.
All you'll need to do, you could even, like, you could hire someone like yours truly to
Hmm.
write those emails and then just put them into the software for you.
Hmm.
Or like Carl, I think that's
That's something we do.
that's part of
Yeah.
the services you offer.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you it could be entirely hands off, but at the same time
Hmm.
you would have insight
Hmm.
into the content because you're the expert here.
Hmm.
So you would, like the medical expert or the dental expert, so you would be able to weigh in on, okay, here are the tips we need to send out,
Hmm.
and everything else can be taken care of for you. So going back to why people groan when they're sending emails is because they overcomplicate it. You don't have to
It's
overcomplicate
true.
it. It
It's what we
can be
talk
just
about.
so
Yeah.
so simple.
And then
Yeah.
two nuts and bolts tips that apply to probably most tools is one, if you do it this way, make every email look the same. And all you have to, you don't
Exactly.
redesign it. And that's intentional. That's because it's familiar, right? And when people open it, they start to
Yes. Yeah.
recognize that look and feel with you, which is what you want.
Yeah.
And then the other one
Yeah.
is if you wanted to write 24, you could actually write them all at once and just, block off a day, write them,
Batch it and
and
yeah,
batch it. And then you could schedule them. You could send, and you can tell every tool
exactly.
and, 6 months, whatever it is, and then you're done for the year.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
that simple. It's like
Yeah.
seriously that simple.
One
So really,
paragraph, call us
you
for
know,
more,
yeah,
and then schedule them all,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that the fall is flu season. You could write about that today. So yes, exactly. Cool. So what tools do you like? Like there's tools that are just crazy elaborate. There's tools that are very simple. For private practice owners, don't think about a large practice. Think about, a mid-sized, smaller practice as well. What tools do you like for email for them?
I would say, there are three tools that I would recommend depending on the kind of, whether what kind of functionalities you're looking at. So
Mhm.
um, ConvertKit is great for businesses of all size. It is, however, a little on the expensive side, as is the other tool, which is Active Campaign. But both these tools
Mm.
offer a lot of functionality
Mhm.
for businesses of all size. You can create segments, so you can. It's very easy for you to know who's a patient, who's non-patient.
Mhm.
Collecting emails from your website becomes that much easier because you can set up like very simple forms and
Mhm.
um, have people sign up and all of that. The other tool that I've heard a lot of great things about, I'll be honest, I haven't personally used it, is Flowdesk. I met the business when I was speaking at a conference in March, and it looks amazing. It has great functionality. I haven't had a chance to personally test it out, but it is way more cost effective than the other
Okay.
two. Is That's like one of the big advantages there. So we've got Flowdesk, we've got ConvertKit, and we've got Active Campaign. ConvertKit is my personal favorite. I've
Mhm.
used it for ever since it started in 2016. So I know everything that it can do,
Mhm.
and it can do a lot.
Okay.
Active Campaign as well is
Mhm.
great. I've used that too a lot
Mhm.
for clients, and I know the only problem that I find with Active Campaign, the slight challenge is that it can be a little complex for someone who's very new to email marketing,
I'm a
which is
former
why
user. It's got a lot. It's true. It's got a
it's got
lot.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would not recommend that for someone who's really new. It's some of the
Starting
features
off.
you would never even touch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. An active campaign, I believe, has like a price tier where you can get HIPAA compliance. So if you
Mm,
have, if you've got somebody's name and their email address or their cell phone, I can find enough healthcare
yeah.
attorneys who say, yeah, that counts as PHI. But what about
Mm.
ConvertKit and Webflow? Do you know, do they have HIPAA compliant like options?
No, Flowdesk would not
Or
have HIPAA
Flowdesk, sorry.
compliance
Okay.
options. Yeah, Flowdesk would not have HIPAA compliance options, and I would need to check for
Okay.
ConvertKit as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's some that are out there.
But
So
Active
let's,
Campaign does has. Yeah.
yeah. And so listener, you got to check this out. You need to find, do they have a
Mm,
HIPAA compliant option? Do they have a business associate agreement that you can sign? You can try to send them yours if you've
mm,
got one, but forget it. They're only going to offer standardized terms, which is in their
yeah.
BAA, but something's better than nothing. Um, One thing that we use with clients is constant contact. Um,
Constant Contact. Yes, that's the other one.
Good to
Yeah,
get. It's
yeah,
funny when I started Market Advisor Group, I started with Active Campaign. That's what a bunch of
yeah.
people I was, and I used it for 5 or 6 years, and I just found that I wasn't using most of what it offered. And for listeners, so
Hmm.
the email suite of tools is really good in Active Campaign. It's got a lot of other stuff
Yeah.
going on also. And that's the stuff I just found I wasn't using. So I'm like, maybe I can just,
Hmm.
sort of reduce. And so yeah, we use a lot of Constant Contact. It's
Yeah.
HIPAA compliant. It's quite inexpensive. That's a budget choice, so no judgments if you feel otherwise. It
Yeah.
seems like hard to outgrow is kind of the way I tell people. Like it just seems hard to like, okay, I need something more than this. Of course you can, and of course you do. If you
Yeah.
want the stuff that Active Campaign has, it's not really in Constant Contact. It's like one or two, but it's not carbon copy at all. And it's got
Hmm.
HIPAA compliance, which
Hmm.
I like also.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So any other tools you like that any tools, I don't know, you would say, proceed with caution.
I would say Do not use your personal email to send out bulk emails
Yeah.
like that. So don't use your Gmail or your Yahoo Mail or whatever other. So don't use your personal emails. Um, Also, any tool that you use, you want to make sure that the emails would be mobile optimized as well,
Hmm.
because
Not automatic, sadly.
most, yeah, exactly. So, most people check their emails on their phone, and if
Hmm.
it's, not formatted for the mobile,
Hmm.
that would be a challenge for
Yeah.
readability, usability, all of that. Um, yeah, I would say just kind of avoid doing
Yeah.
that. Definitely just do not upload a list of people who you've got, like, say maybe you've got them listed in your patient database without consent. Don't just put people on your email list. You definitely need to take consent, because that
Yeah.
could create a lot of problems later on. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And just, why should you never use your own primary email address? Because if you load a bunch of names in there and just start sending it out, you will burn through the email, you will get flagged, you will get
Flag,
penalized,
yes.
and then your email, when you really want to send it to people, the whole thing gets shut down, unless and until you can undo all of that. Um,
Oh
these
yeah.
tools
Oh
that
yeah,
Perna's
absolutely.
mentioning and the other ones, they take care to avoid that, right? Because they know how to,
Exactly.
yes, send out bulk emails without burning through. Yeah. So um
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And why would you get
Yeah.
flagged? Because if you're sending out a handful a day and then you send out like 150, they're going to go, what the heck was that? And they're going to think it's bad or malicious or whatever, and they're just going to flag you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's why.
Yes.
So you're
Yeah.
playing with fire.
You don't
You're
want
playing
to
with,
send this.
yeah, you don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Cool. So thank you. We've covered a lot of ground here. Hopefully, we've turned some people's minds to say it's got its place, as long as you do it well. A couple of wrap-up questions
Yes.
I ask every guest. First one is anything you think I should have asked you, but I just didn't think to ask you, or any point you think we should
Mm,
make that we just didn't make yet.
No, I think we covered it all. The kinds of emails, what to avoid, what to keep in mind. I think we covered
Yeah.
pretty much all of it. Okay, yeah. One of the
Oh.
things you could have asked me is, what can practices do to get people on their email list
Mm.
in the first place?
Mm-hmm. Go. Let's do it.
So so yeah, so when someone's a patient, it's obviously easy. You can
Mm-hmm.
ask them, hey, when they're filling out the form, you could have just asked them there, like, would it be okay if we, send you emails about our services or health tips, etc. But what if someone comes to your website, is just new to the area, or someone's referred them to you, they check out your site and they're looking at it and they're like, I want to save that. I don't need them right now. Maybe but I would need them in the future. It could be a pediatrician, you could be a dentist, a dermatologist, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How can you get them on your list, right?
Yeah.
Start adding them to your list so you can send them those patient education or practice promotion emails, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of things. One is, you could offer them either a a downloadable PDF simple checklist for whatever it is that you feel would help them the most.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, um, 5 things to do at the first sign of flu, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
because we've been talking about flu, so that's on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of those things could be to call you or consult with you, to book time
Mm-hmm.
with you.
Mm-hmm.
So make it really easy. Give them something that would be relevant,
Mm-hmm.
helpful,
Mm-hmm.
and would encourage them to get on your email list. That's one thing. The other thing is, of course, if you have it, it's part of the whole business plan. You could give them either a coupon code, you could give them a
Mm-hmm.
special on a consult or something, whatever would be,
Mm-hmm.
again,
Mm-hmm.
aligned with and compliant with the business. So you could give them something like that to get them on
Yeah.
your email list. And
Yeah.
the third, and probably the simplest thing to do, is, say you decide, I don't want to give them a freebie, I don't want to give them any kind of a special. You could just say, pop your email address below if you'd like regular information about staying healthy, or taking care of your skin,
Mm-hmm.
or taking care of
What's
your teeth, or
relevant to
whatever
what
it
you
is that
do?
you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that just gives them information that you'd be sending them emails with tips and, insights and
Hmm.
new studies and all of this stuff. So
Hmm.
those are three simple things you could do to start adding people to your email list, people who may not be your patients yet, but could be your patients in the future.
That's yes. And what I like about that on top of everything else is that there's this sort of reflex to say, um, I don't know how to actually say it, but the idea of, with our clients, we do a newsletter, right? And so imagine we got some more
Mm-hmm.
subscribers that are happy with other practices. You never know. And adding another,
Yeah, yeah,
contact to your list is nothing. It's a rounding error. If it's
yeah,
anything, there isn't
yeah,
cost. Um, and so you send it to them. And if they want to keep reading, and you never know, you just, what's the harm? You're already sending it out. So I really, really like that. But
yeah,
and what you were saying about the download, like something of value, the reason you need to do that is because nobody's just going to give you their email address, you know.
yeah,
But if you've got this
exactly,
like, hey, subscribe to our email list, to our newsletter, but we need your email to do that. There it is. There's the exchange of value. Or we've got this,
exactly.
health guide for newborns. Or I don't know, whatever it is that's relevant to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Download it now, but hey, we
absolutely.
need your email list to send it to you. And if you give us your email, you are also consenting to getting periodic emails from us, any of which you can unsubscribe to. So nothing's forever, but this is the way. You got to give them something to get the email address. So that's, yeah,
Yes.
very, very smart. Cool. Um, and the other wrap up question I ask is, all right, maybe we've already answered it, but we've caught a listener's attention. Prerna's right. We need to start doing this, or they've been sitting on the fence. Sometimes people just don't know how to get started when they get excited about something.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's Prerna
Mm-hmm.
one or two super simple things they could do to get started on bringing you know, email as part of their marketing plan into their practice?
Sure. So the simplest thing you could do is if you're not already set up with an email software is to do your research and sign up for one of those tools.
Hmm.
Um, you could do that as quickly as say early next week. So that would be really simple. And if
Hmm.
you already have an email list, but you haven't been emailing them because of whatever we discussed today,
Hmm.
what you can do is just sit down and brainstorm 12, not even 24, just brainstorm 12 tips that you can send out over the next 12 months to them.
Hmm.
Start with a monthly email and follow the format, keep it simple, follow the format, makes it predictable, makes it recognizable,
Hmm.
makes it easier for you to send it. So remember, personalization, value, action, as simple as that. That's it. Like whether you have an email list or you don't have an email list, you could just start with these as quickly as next week.
There you go. Perfect. Um, Excellent. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for coming on Practice Care. Thank you for shining a light on this eye-rolling, groan-inducing topic. People get over it. It's got its place. Um, it definitely has its place. So thank you, Perna, for coming on Practice Care. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I hope this helped people to not, have to groan the next time they need to send an
Yes.
email.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just hope you enjoy sending it and you can see the impact it can have when it's done with intention and with integrity.
When it's done well. Exactly. Cool. So you gave some contact information to us, and so we're going to get that into the show notes for your episode. So anybody who wants to get a hold of you, now they've got another way to do so. 2 points before we
Awesome.
wrap up. Yes, two things to say before we wrap up. First, if you're someone like Perna or us and you serve private practice owners, or if you're a private practice owner yourself and you've got some experience on the business side of private practice, either way, please, we want you to come on Practice Care and tell the world about it. In the show notes for Perna's episode and every episode, there's a link, a couple of clicks, really quick and easy. Tell us what's on your mind so we can get you scheduled ASAP. And finally, subscribe to Practice Care. We launch a new episode every week, and the easiest way to stay up to date is to subscribe. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. We're on YouTube. We're really easy to find every player. Subscribe, Practice Care, one word, so that you can stay up to date. Thanks very much, and until next time.